Welcome to Texas Honda Channel. Hope everyone's having a blessed day. If you're new here, definitely click that subscribe button. So the plan was to lower this thing down with some H&R springs that I got. It only took a day for them to ship and get here, which was crazy. I was reading a lot online. It says you can use the Honda Odyssey lowering springs since they don't make anything out here for the MDX. Now, unfortunately, using these H&R lowering springs does not work on the 2003 to 2006. I did not know that. So I went ahead and bought them. I did have to send them back. They did fit in there. I had a full detailed video on how to install them and everything, but it actually lifted the MDX up. As you can see right here, it set up actually higher than whenever we started because it didn't sit in the bucket quite right. So the Odyssey springs can be used for the 07 and up, apparently, because I was reading, and the MDX that I was reading about was an 07, not an 03 to 06, so apparently there is a difference. But as you can see, I still have it lowered down. I used a method most people do not approve of, the cut spring method. If done right, it can work. I don't recommend it. I recommend using actual springs, but since they don't make anything for the MDX, I went ahead and did that. So right here, I basically just cut up and followed the line on the lower part of the spring so it sits in the bucket well, and chopped that off, reinstalled it back on the MDX, and this is where it sits with it lowered down. Now when you add weight back there, it does squat more, but it rides pretty good. I do think I'm going to go through and actually redo the rear springs. I have reached out to quite a bit of companies to see if they will make some springs. I did definitely see if Max Peeting Rods will make some drop springs, so I need your guys' help to get in the comment section and say, Max Peeting Rods, make springs for the MDX, so that way we can get their attention, because I don't want to ride around on cut springs, but it does ride good. I went out and took it on a drive. I drove it pretty aggressively just to make sure it was going to hold up, but yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure it was lowered. I'll probably end up throwing stock suspension back on, but I did want to give you guys a video of showing it lowered and how it looks, and I really like how it looks. This ride's fantastic the way it is, other than the bottoming out very easy. Now I did remove the bump stops when reinstalling the springs back into the back, so that way we have just a little bit more before it fully bottoms out, but over some pretty decent bumps in the back, it'll bottom out. It doesn't rub the ground, doesn't scrape or have any issues like that. The front is absolutely great, zero issues up front. It does need a realignment. Obviously, whenever you do suspension, you need to realign it. Now, my goal was to have a full-blown video on how to lower it using those springs, but I apparently just had the wrong year of MDX. So if you guys have an 07 MDX, definitely look on the forums. Don't just take my word for it, do your research. But they did say that the Odyssey 05 to 07 springs fit on the 07 MDX with no issues, and the guy has picture proof and all that in the forum, so I assumed it would be fine for this, but you live and you learn. That's the way life goes sometimes. Now, Max Peeting Rods did seem pretty interested in taking on the project, so if you guys could please share the video around and get as many people in the comments saying, Max Peeting Rods, make some drop springs for the MDX or coilovers. Just drop springs would be fine, but I want it to be safe. My family does ride in here, and right now it's holding up great, but like I said, I might just throw stock suspension back on and refreshen it all up until we find some drop springs, but I really like how it looks. If it was just me driving in this and riding in it all the time, I would keep it exactly like this, but we do want some safety since my family will be in here. But yeah, I've taken it out and it's riding good, so I'm going to take you guys on a little drive to show you. It does ride good on the drop springs, or cut springs, my bad, but unfortunately just couldn't use those H&R springs for this setup. But I'm going to go ahead and get you guys set up inside and we'll take it out for a little drive. All right, here we go. 145 right now. As you can see, it rides really smooth. It's very comfortable. I don't recommend going out and cutting your springs. I highly recommend finding drop springs. I know in some situations they don't make drop springs and you just want to slam it. Just know, if you do it wrong, it could be very dangerous. I have done so many cut springs, it's crazy. I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not saying go out and cut your springs, but it is an option if they don't make anything, but I highly recommend reaching out to companies to see if they can make some. I'm gonna go down one of the more bumpy roads in town. This is probably one of the bumpiest that I know of, at least, and we'll see exactly how it does over the bumps and all the curves and stuff like that. But just on a normal road, it rides absolutely great. You can hear definitely bumping around. I do still need rear shocks. The ones on here are blown out. Surprisingly, it rides good for them being blown out. But I don't know if you can tell, this road is pretty bumpy. But yeah, that's pretty much the extent of the lower cut springs. Now, like I said, we are going to try to get Max Peating Rods to make some drop springs, so please get in the comments and leave a comment saying Max Peating Rods, make some coilovers or some lowering springs for the 03 to 06 MDX. That would be awesome, because if I can get them to make some, I will definitely have a full how-to video on how to install them and how it rides and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna head back to the house and we will go over some more stuff when I get back. So, here we go. Well, ride's pretty good. So it definitely rides pretty good. What do you think about it, Emma? You like it?
Yeah.
You like Mommy's car?
Yeah.
You like it being lowered?
Yeah.
Is it easier to get into? Unfortunately, though, it's not safe, is it? With cut springs?
Yeah.
And we want it to be safe, right?
Yeah.
So, we're gonna probably put it back to the stock suspension. I just wanted to show you guys what it looked like lowered and why I want it lowered. This thing handles a lot better with it lowered, even on cut springs. But yeah, it's pretty much it for this video. Again, I'm not condoning going out and cutting springs. We need to get together, get in the comment section and say, Max Peating Rods, let's make some coilovers or drop springs for the 03 to 06 MDX. With all of your help, we could probably actually make this happen. Then I'll have a full detailed how to install it video and all of that. But that's basically it for this video. I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. And as I like to say,
God bless, stay safe, stay awesome.
you heard her.